Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Astrology News Report, an alternate view of world events as seen through the lens of Vedic astrology, presented by yours truly, Ron Berger. Today is August 30th, 2020. In this segment, we'll take a look at what's coming up in the Zodiac for September 2020. But before we begin, a note to all viewers. This channel has moved to a paid subscription format. You are watching the once-a-month free public video. If you would like to have access to the upcoming month's weekly reports, stick around for the link at the end of this video to make your donation. Thanks. Well, there is a lot going on in the Zodiac this coming month. Lots of changes, lots of new planetary energy patterns, a lot to talk about. So, to try to approach this in some sort of logical fashion, I'm going to do it in chronological order. First up, we have Venus changing signs on August 31st. Venus leaves sidereal Gemini, where it has been for the last 4 weeks, and enters sidereal Cancer. Venus is not totally happy in Cancer, because Cancer is the sign of the moon, and in Vedic astrology, Venus sees the moon as its enemy. Cancer is an emotional water sign. It's a sign that needs, but also gives, emotional support. Venus in Cancer tends to get too concerned with pursuing emotional satisfaction, which can lead to indulgence, either indulging the other person in their quagmire of feelings or needing the emotional indulgence of others. As soon as Venus enters Cancer, it will be directly opposite Saturn, which is transiting on the other side of the zodiac in Capricorn. The exact opposition is on September 1st. Additionally, Venus will immediately come under the influence of the square aspect of Mars, which is transiting in the early degrees of Aries. The Mars square aspect is exact on September 4th. Both Mars and Saturn are considered natural malefics in Vedic astrology, so their combined influence on Venus will be bad for Venus significations such as love, compromise, agreement, guidance, finance, and so forth. After the first week of September, Venus advances far enough into Cancer to begin to escape from the worst influences of Mars and Saturn, and Venus's significations won't be suffering as much. After spending 4 weeks in Cancer, Venus will change signs and enter Leo on September 27th. Leo is the 9th house sign of the USA Vedic astrology chart. In a country's chart, the 9th house represents the country's courts and judges, including the Supreme Court. Venus is the planet of guidance, so we should be getting some guidance from the Supremes when their new term begins in early October. Another planet changes signs just as we begin September. Mercury leaves Leo and enters sidereal Virgo. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, so this position makes Mercury strong. It's the planet of facts and data in the sign of details and analysis. Mercury is the planet of communications, therefore the media. While Mercury transits in Virgo, there will be lots of analysis from the pundits trying to figure out where things are going. Mercury will stay in Virgo for 3 weeks until September 22nd, and then it moves on to sidereal Libra. Normally, Mercury in Libra is fine. It's the planet of rational thinking, in the sign of balance and harmony. But there's a problem. As soon as Mercury enters Libra, it will come under attack from the opposition of Mars, which by this time will be retrograde and therefore more malefic. This pattern constitutes an attack on facts and information, an attack on the media. When Mercury and Mars get tangled up, there's a lot of argument. This pattern will be in effect during the last week of the month. Mars entered Aries, its own sign, back in mid-August. A planet likes being in its own sign. Both the planet and the sign's significations get enhanced. Mars is the planet of action. Aries is the sign of initiative. Mars wants results. Aries seeks challenges. But the potential for Mars in Aries to manifest fully has been getting interference due to being in a square aspect pattern with Saturn, the planet of the establishment, planet of the status quo. The two planets have been acting at cross purposes to each other, Mars wanting to move forward, Saturn wanting to hold back. Now, after getting only a few degrees into Aries, Mars begins a retrograde period starting on September 9th. Note that Saturn is coming to the end of its retrograde period and is still in position to create problems for Mars. Further, both planets are stationary while they transition into or out of a retrograde period. Since they are barely moving during September, the difficult square aspect is maintained throughout the month. So, this is a problem. Both planets are strong, while operating at cross purposes, which ends up as a sort of stalemate and a lot of tension and stress. Mars goes retrograde about once every 2 years for about 9 weeks. The planet of action and fast results doesn't like being held back in the zodiac. In astrology, Mars represents the energy that gets things going and keeps things moving forwards. When Mars is retrograde, it's harder to make progress. Projects have trouble getting off the ground, existing endeavors run into difficulties and delays, resulting in a lot of frustration. On the plus side, Mars, being the planet of war, is also the planet of strategy. When its forward progress is being delayed, it's a good time to be making plans, getting things ready, so you can advance when the retrograde is over. In Vedic astrology, Mars is classified as a natural malefic, in other words, capable of doing harm. The retrograde condition intensifies this malefic quality. In other words, the potential for destruction becomes greater. Retrograde Mars is like a pressure cooker. The energy keeps backing up, finally getting to a point where almost anything will set it off, creating an explosion. This Mars retrograde period will be even more stressful than usual due to the aforementioned square aspect pattern with Saturn. Finally, in early October, retrograde Mars backs into Pisces, and the square aspect pattern with Saturn breaks up. But then we get retrograde Mars in Pisces for 6 more weeks, which presents its own set of problems. I'll be doing a full analysis on the retrograde Mars period in my September 6th report. In the middle of September, there's another significant astrological development. Rahu and Ketu, the nodes of the moon, change signs. Rahu moves from sidereal Gemini to Taurus. Ketu moves from sidereal Sagittarius to Scorpio. The nodes are the crossover points of the path of the Sun and the path of the Moon as seen from the Earth. They are the eclipse points. In Vedic astrology, these points are nearly as important as the actual planets. Rahu is the significator of big desires and transformation. and the potential for material success. Ketu indicates past life karma, the unseen dimension, and the potential for sacrifice and loss. Both are eclipse points and therefore can cause distortion, fear, and confusion. Where and how the transiting nodes affect a natal chart is fairly significant. For instance, here's the chart of Donald Trump. Since he is Leo rising, Taurus is his 10th house sign. Rahu, the significator of obsession, will be transiting in his house of career success, status, and position. This is also where he has his natal Sun, natal Rahu, and natal Uranus. So, of course, he will be obsessed with his status and position, which he is anyway. Meanwhile, Ketu enters his 4th house, the house of happiness, which is where he has his natal moon, planet of emotions and reactivity, and his natal Ketu, signifier of past karma. The transit of Ketu will bring fear, sacrifice, and loss, and will be making the Donald even more unhinged and maniacal than usual as we head into October. Another interesting feature of September is that 3 planets are ending their retrograde periods. Jupiter ends its retrograde on September 12th, Saturn ends its retrograde a couple weeks later, and Pluto ends its retrograde a week after Saturn. Planets at the end of their retrograde appear to be not moving in the zodiac. They are stationary. A stationary planet is extra strong for effects, but since it is not moving, it's not behaving normally. In this case, 2 of the planets, Saturn and Jupiter, are in their own signs, which maximizes the energy of the planet and the sign. Jupiter in Sagittarius emphasizes the Jupiter quality of beliefs, morals, ethics, and the Sagittarius passion and self-righteous attachment to personal truth. Since this energy is available to everyone, what we get is everyone being attached to their own version of truth. The clash of ideologies has been quite apparent lately, and we can expect it to intensify during September while Jupiter is stationary. Saturn is the planet of the established order, the planet of responsibility, the energy of stability. Capricorn is the sign of setting practical goals and managing resources for tangible results. So, this sounds good, except if your ideal is to change the status quo. In that case, Saturn in Capricorn becomes your enemy. In today's chaotic world, a lot of people would like to just go back to normal. That's Saturn in Capricorn energy. Problem is, as pointed out earlier, Saturn in Capricorn is getting challenged by being in a square aspect pattern with Mars in Aries. Pluto is the planet of destruction and rebirth. It's the planet of big stuff, the planet of mass events. Pluto has been hanging out with Jupiter in Sagittarius for the past couple of months, putting together the planet of beliefs and the planet of generational change in the sign of personal truth. This has provided plenty of destruction in the service of people expressing their beliefs. During September, with both planets stationary, that energy pattern is especially strong. Now here's the kicker. As we get closer to the USA election day, Jupiter begins moving closer to Pluto, and will end up 1 degree from the planet of destruction and rebirth on that fateful day. Okay, so there's a brief analysis of planetary patterns for September 2020, and now a reminder. You have been watching Astrology News Reports once a month free public video. If you would like to see the next 4 weekly reports, Donate $20 by clicking on or touching the donation card you see at the end of this video, which will take you to the donation page. If $20 for a month is too much for you, you can donate $10. The link to each week's report will be sent to you via your email. Here's a description of what's coming up in the September videos. September 6th, an analysis and predictions for the Mars Retrograde Period. September 13th, Rahu and Ketu change signs and what to expect for your chart. September 20th, an analysis of Jupiter and Saturn, both strong in their own signs in September. September 27th, a preview of planetary patterns for October 2020. You'll not want to miss out on all these great upcoming videos, so here's the link for your donation. Just click or touch the card, which will take you to the donation page. Thank you, and until next week.